Welcome and welcome back to the Scripture Re-Education Project. I'm your teacher, Sister Scholar. So we've been talking about the judgments that happened because as a result of the Tower of Babel. So like they didn't get off scot-free. It's not just like, oh, your languages are mixed up. And then now you gotta go where I told you to go. Nah. They had to actually pay for what it is that they've done. By no means did they pay the full cost of it because the Most High is merciful, but because he could have just wiped all of them off the face of the earth if he so chose. But okay, so now we're going to talk about the judgment of the scattering. We talked about the sword, we talked about the fire, flood, wars, all those different things. Okay, but now the earthquake. But now we're going to talk about the judgment by scattering, which is what they were supposed to do previously. Okay. So the difference between spreading out and scattering is scattering forces you to expel an area. Spreading is you go on your own accord. You got time to set up. You got time to go look around. You got time to figure out where you're going to be. Whereas scattering, it's like if you drop rice on the floor, all of it doesn't go in the same spot. It goes everywhere. Okay. All right, let's pray. Most High, we thank you for all that you're doing. We thank you for your endurance and your patience with us. We thank you for making us new. We thank you for putting us and setting us in the path of righteousness. We ask that you would keep us on it. Let us not go to the left or to the right, but to stay on the straight and narrow way. Let us not to be, thank you for not condemning us in our sins. Thank you for bringing us back into your truth and in your word. Help us to see things as you would have us to see them. Please forgive us of all of our sins and transgressions, not only our sins and transgressions, but those of our forefathers. Please help us to hide your word in our hearts that we might not sin against you. Let your grace abound in us. Let us sin less every day and help us to live according to your commandments and your words. All these things we ask by the authority of your word. Thank you for your spirit in all things. Hallelujah. So it shall be.
Of the continents are actually connected, and you can get to Africa through the Grand Canyon.
Who says you can't walk to Africa from America?
Where are you from?
India.
India? What, you too?
Yeah.
How long have you been walking?
All day.
Did you fly into Mexico and then walk the rest?
Walk.
But where did you fly into?
Walking.
How do you walk from India? Are you from India too?
Pakistan.
Oh, Pakistan. Bangladesh. Okay. Walk from India?
India, Punjab.
India?
Just to make sure you're on the same page, they walk from Iran, India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, into Mexico, and into America. Oh, it's about to get better. So go ahead and like this video, share it, and subscribe if you haven't already. And leave me a comment to let me know what you think.
The Grand Canyons is the gateway.
Discovery that will blow your mind.
Now, how many times have you taken a trip across the pond, as they call it? And it was like a 9+ hour flight. And sometimes it came with a layover. You see this? I'm about to show you the real deal. Take a look. I want you to see how close North and South America actually are to one another. North America and Asia. Asia and Europe. Europe and Australia. Asia and Africa. Asia and Europe. Russia and the US. If either of them try to bomb the other, all of us will go. We're too close together. That's good news. Drum rolls, please. The famous Bering Strait that the people who became the Native Americans crossed from their homelands of Siberia and Mongolia to come into the United States to become the natives of America. As you can clearly see, it does not really look like this. It looks more like this. Please tell me I'm not the only one that can see the writing on the wall, that it doesn't take a 10-hour flight. And layovers are not even necessary to go across the pond in either direction. So what does that tell you? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section. As always, they suppress my content.
So we're going to look at some of these passages again. We're going to look at Genesis 9:25 through 28, and we're also going to look at Jubilees 6:13 through 17. And he said, talking about Noah, blessed be the Eloi of Shem, and Canaan shall be servant unto them, and the Most High shall enlarge Japheth, and he shall make his dwelling to dwell in the tabernacles of Shem, and Canaan shall be servant unto them, and Noah lived after the deluge 350 years, and all the days of Noah were 950 years, and he died. Okay, now we're going to jump over to Jubilees. And Ham knew that his father had cursed his younger son, and he was displeased that he had cursed his son, and parted from his father, he and his sons with him, in Cush and Mitzrayim, and put in Canaan, and he built for himself a city, and called the name after his wife Mauk. And Japheth saw it and became envious of his brother, and he too built for himself a city, and he called its name after the name of his wife, Adonitanes. And Shem dwelt with his father Noah, and he built a city close to his father on the mountain, and he too called its name after the name of his wife, Sedequel Telebab. And behold, these three cities are near Mount Lubar. And Sedekah, Telebab, fronting the mountain on the east, and Naela Ta Mauk on the south, and Adonatanesis, towards the west. All right, why are we reading this again? Okay, there's a number of things to notice. Japheth has an envy problem. That's number one. Remember, his name means to enlarge, and it says that he will dwell in the tents of Shem. That doesn't always mean it's a good thing. So if he has an envy problem, that means if his children are like him and they like to extend, they can take by force the dwelling of Shem and dwell in the dwellings of Shem, which over time, as we look, that is a trait that has happened amongst the children. There is nothing new under the sun. Everybody is doing what they've always done. Okay? Everybody. I'm not trying to single any one group out. Everybody is doing what they've always done. Okay? So then one of the things that happens is when you look right here at the very bottom, the three sons of Noah all built cities named after their wives in three mountains facing each other, which means they really didn't leave the area that they were in. It says Shem, dwelt near to where Noah is, but everybody else, him and his sons leave because of the whole, Canaan thing. But Ham, Shem, and Japheth don't really leave that area. They kind of stay right there, which is why these three mountains are facing each other. They stay near to those areas. Their children go on to other places. But Japheth's children tend to extend beyond other areas. Okay? And remember, his territory is cold. Shem has the best land of everybody. Why would anybody want to leave it? Okay? We're going to keep going. We're going to read this here, okay? And it says now the pseudophilo 4, 6 through 8. And this is in volume 2 of the pseudepigrapha. Now the sons of Ham were Cush and Egypt and Put and Canaan. And these are the sons of Cush, Sheba and Havilah and Taphtha and Ra'amah and Saptekah. And the sons of Ra'amah were Shebe and Dedan. And the sons of Put were Zelu, which probably is where Zulu comes from, Talut, Galut, Lahut. And the sons of Canaan were Sidon, Adane, Rasin, Summon, Urian, Nemigan, Amathan, Nethan, Talaz, Ethat, and Kusin. Now Cush became the father of Nimrod, and he began to be arrogant before the Most High. Now Egypt became the father of Ludim, and Anamim, and Lahabim, and Latin, and Pathrasim, and Cashlathim, whence came the Philistines. and the Cappadocians, and and then they began to build cities, and these are after the cities they built: Sidon and its surrounding, and Resum, and Beso Mazah, Gerar, Ashkelon, Dabakaro, Tulun, Lachish, Sodom and Gomorrah, Admah, and Zeboim. Here's the thing: as you can see, I do genealogies. I don't think Sodom and Gomorrah comes out of the house of Ham. And you're like, what do you mean, Sister Scholar? It's listed right there. It says they built the cities, but I haven't seen Sodom or Gomorrah in the lineage of Ham anywhere. Okay? There is one spot, but we're going to read these and I'm going to address that. Okay? So now we're going to jump over to Jasher 1 through 7 just to prove my point. Right? We see all these names at the top, and these are the sons of Ham: Cush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan, 4 sons, and the sons of Cush were Seba, Havilah, Sapta, Rama, Sateka. The sons of Rama were Sheba and Dedan, and the sons of Mizraim were Lud, Anam, and Pathos, and Caslo, and Captor, and the sons of Put were Gebal, Hadan, Banah, and Adan. And the sons of Canaan were Zidon, Heth, Amori, Girgashi, Hivi, Arki, Senai, Aradi, Modi, and Kathmothi. These are the sons of Ham according to their families, and their numbers in those days were about 730 men. Do you notice that Sodom and Gomorrah isn't in there? And you're like, well, it could have just come out from other, they could have come out of their, grandchildren and all those kind of stuff. I've done extensive research on this. They don't come out of this house. Okay, we're going to keep going. All right, so we're going to read this again. Jasher 10, 6 through 8. And the sons of Japheth, the son of Noah, went and built themselves cities in the places where they were scattered, and they called all the cities after their names. And the sons of Japheth were divided upon the face of the earth into many divisions and languages. And these are the sons of Japheth according to their families: Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javan, Tubal, Meshach, and Tyrus. These are the children of Japheth according to their generations. And the children of Gomer according to their cities were the Frankum, which we know become the French and the Gauls, who dwell in the land of Franza, France, by the river Franza, by the river Seine. All right, Jasher chapter 10, verses 9 through 12. The children of Rephath are the Bartanim, who dwell in the land of Bartonia, by the river Leda, which empties its waters in the great sea, Gihon, that is Oceanus. And the children of Tergama are 10 families, and these are their names: Buzar, Parsnak, Bulgar, Eliakim, Rigbib, Tarki, Bid, Zebuk, Ongal, and Tilmaz. All they spread and rested and built themselves cities. And they called their cities after their own names. Those are they who abide by the rivers Hithlah, and Italak unto this day. But the families of Angoli, Bulgar, and Parsnak, they dwell by the great river Dubni. And the names of their cities are also according to their own names. Okay, so I did my best to try to pinpoint who's who and what's what and where's where. And remember, not everybody left and went immediately to their lands. So sometimes when you're looking at some of these old maps, you'll see some of these places named in multiple spaces around Europe, but it's because that's just at different times in history kind of where they spread to. But you notice that previously it said the sons of Gomer, or the sons of Japheth spread out, because remember we said originally Japheth and Ham and Shem pretty much kind of stayed where they were. They stayed near to their father. Okay, but like I said, I did my best to try to figure out where some of these places are, and you can use that as a reference as you do your own study. All right, we're still in the book of Jasher, chapter 10, verses 13 through 15. And the children of Javan are the Javanim, who dwell in the land of Macedonia. And the children of Medir are the Orlim, and that dwell in the land of Curson. And the children of Tubal are these that dwell in the land of Tuscana by the river Pishiah. And the children of Meshech are the Shebashni. And the children of Tyrus are Rushash and Cushni and Angolas. All these went and built themselves cities. These are the cities that are situated by the sea, Jabes, by the river, Korah, which empties itself in the river Tragan. And the children of Elisha are the Almanim. And there also went and built themselves cities. These are the cities situate by between the mountains of Job and Shithbathmo. And of them were the people of Lombardy, who dwell opposite the mountains of Job and Shethbathmo. And they conquered the land of Italia and remained there unto this day. Okay, so some of these are revisions from what I did previously, because some of these places, when I looked at different maps, they, but this is more accurate than what I did previously. So you can kind of take this and figure out what's what and where's where, and then we'll keep going. Jasher 10:16 through 18. And the children of Kittim are the Romim, who dwell in the valley of Canopia, by the river Tibru. And the children of Dudanim are those who dwell in the cities of the Sea of Gihon in the land of Bordna. These are the families of the children of Japheth according to their cities and languages when they were scattered after the tower, and they called their cities after their names and occurrences. And these are the names of all of their cities according to their families, which they built in those days after the tower. Okay, so now you see right here where it says Kittim and Romim. So originally they founded Romania, and then eventually they scatter out, and then they founded Rome. But like I said, like it says here, everything was post flood. I'm sorry, post tower, excuse me, post tower, and then they're scattered to their various lands. Certain maps have the Gihon in different places. Some maps it looks like the Gihon is like the Great Sea, and then other maps it looks like it's a huge river. It just varies on what map you're looking at. Okay, we'll keep going. Jubilees 8:22 through 24. And for Ham came forth the second portion beyond the Gihon towards the south, to the right of the garden, and it extends towards the south, and extends to all the mountains of fire, and it extends towards the west to the sea of Atel, and it extends towards the west till it reaches the sea of Ma'uk, that sea into which everything which is not destroyed descends, and goes forth towards the north in limits of Gadir. And it goes forth to the coast of the waters of the sea and the waters of the great sea till it draws near to the river Gihon, and goes along the river Gihon till it reaches the right of the Garden of Eden. And that is the land which came forth for him as his portion, as the portion which he was to occupy forever for himself and his sons into the generations forever. So the Sea of Batel, I think, was the one that becomes the Atlantic. And then this is where we see his land allotment. Jubilees 8:25 through 30. And for Japheth came forth the third portion beyond the river Tina, to the north of the outflow of its water extends northeasterly to the whole region of Gog, and to the country of the east thereof, and it extends northerly to the north, and extends to the mountain of Kelt towards the north, and towards the sea of Mauk, and it goes forth to the east of Gadir, as far as the region of the waters of the sea, and it extends until it approaches the west of Farah, and it returns towards Apharag, and it extends easterly to the waters of the Sea of Miat, and it extends to a region of the river Tina in a northeasterly direction until it approaches the boundary of its waters towards the Mount Rapha, and it turns around towards the north. And this is the land This is the land which came forth for Japheth and his sons, also the portion of his inheritance which he should possess for himself and his sons for their generations forever. 5 great islands in a great land in the north, but it is cold, and the land of Ham is hot, and the land of Shem is neither hot nor cold, but it is of a blended cold and heat. I'm gonna read that again. So Japheth's land is cold. Ham's land is hot. Shem's land is neither hot nor cold, but it is of blended cold and heat, meaning Shem's land has a temperate climate. It has both heat and it has cold. It has extreme, if you live in certain states, you get both really, really hot seasons and you get really, really cold seasons, especially if you live on the East Coast. So if you live on the East Coast of the United States, you get both summer, full on summer, okay? And you get full on winter. There are certain parts that don't necessarily get as much of a winter as other places, and there are some places that don't get as much of a summer. But if you live in a particular region, you get full on summer, you get full on winter, okay? He has a blend of cold and heat. So, just say, okay? Something to think about. Like I said, not everything is where we've been told that it is. Just something to think about, okay? All right, let's keep going. Jubilees 9, 1 through 6. And Ham divided among himself the first portion and came forth for Cush towards the east, and to the west of him for Mitzrayim, and to the west of him for Put, and to the west of him in the west thereof on the sea for Canaan. And Shem also divided amongst his sons the first portion that came forth for Ham and his sons to the east of the river Tigris till it approaches the east in the whole land of India, and to the Red Sea on the coast, and the waters of Dedan, and the mountains of Mebri and Elah, and all the land of Susan is on the side of Farnak to the Red Sea and the river Tina. So here is kind of like an overlap between some of the lands of Shem and some of the lands of Ham. Like, not saying that Shem's portion sits on top of Ham's portion. It's like some of his land kind of enters into some of the territory. So like the whole continent doesn't belong to Ham. The majority of the continent does, but there's a section of it that belongs to Shem and his descendants. Okay. Now here's the thing. If we're going from a map of Africa, right? If we're going from the side where like Madagascar and everything is on the east side, and then we make our way west, it would go um it would go Cush, Mitzrayim, then it would go Put, and then it would go Canaan. So technically, Canaan's portion would have been in West Africa. That's going to become important later on, okay? His portion was supposed to be in West Africa, but he never went there. He decided to stay in the land of Canaan, which is in the allotment of Shem, okay? But these are land divisions. Jasher 10, 19 through 23. And the children of Ham were Cush, Mitzrayim, Put, and Canaan according to their generation in cities. All these went and built themselves cities as they found fit places for them, and they called their cities after their names after their fathers, Cush, Mitzrayim, Put, and Canaan. And the children of Mitzrayim are the Ludim, the Anamim, the Lahabim, the Naptukim, the Pathrusim, the Caslukim, and the Caphtarim, 7 families. All these dwell by the river Shihor, that is the brook of Egypt. And they built themselves cities and called them after their own names. And the children of Pathros and Caslos intermarried together, and from them went forth the Philistines, and Asnathim, and Geharim, and the Githim, and the Ekranim, and all 5 families. These all built for themselves cities, and they call the cities after their names of their fathers unto this day. Okay, do you notice how in here you don't, we're doing the house of Ham right now, but you notice you don't see the Gomorites or the Sodomites, but we do see the Philistines, and then we see Gerar right there, and then Sihor, which would be the Nile because it's the brook of Egypt, and the Gittites and the Echorites. Like I said, we're going to keep discussing this, but I'll get to it when it becomes pertinent, but I just want to put that on your mind. All right, Jasher 10:24 through 29. And the children of Canaan also built themselves cities, and they called the cities after their names, 11 cities, and others without number. And 4 men from the family of Ham went to the land of the plain, and these are the names of the 4 men: Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, Zeboim. And these men built 4 cities in the land of the plain, and they called the names after their cities, after their own names. And they and their children and all belonging to them dwelt in those cities, and they were fruitful and multiplied greatly and dwelt peaceably. And Seir, the son of Hur, son of Hivi, the son of Canaan, went and found a valley opposite to the Mount Paran, and he built cities there. And he and his 7 sons and his household dwelt there, and he called the city which he built Seir, according to his name, in the land of Seir unto this day. These are the families of the children of Ham according to their languages and cities, when they were scattered to their countries after the tower. Okay, so you see right here how it says there's 4 men that come out of Ham and then they build these 4 cities. However, as you can see, I do extensive genealogies. They don't pop up in anybody else's genealogy at any other time. In Ham's genealogy any other time. When you go to Genesis 10 and even when you go to Chronicles, Sodom and Gomorrah isn't mentioned as coming from the lineage. It just talks about the cities being built, but it doesn't say that Sodom and Gomorrah are actually descendants of Ham anywhere else. And it says they came out of Ham, but it doesn't say which family they come out of. It doesn't say that they come out of Canaan. It doesn't say that they come out of Mitzrayim, Phut, or Cush. It just says that they come out of Ham. But the question is, which house of Ham? Whereas when we go down here, when we're talking about Seir, which is where eventually Mount Seir becomes, it says Seir is the son of Hur, which become the Horites, which is the son of the Hivites, which is the son of Hivi, which is the son of Canaan. It gives his full lineage. But right here, it's just saying, oh yeah, there's some people that came out of Ham. That's these people. But like I said, when we get to when we get to the covenant of Abraham, I'm going to explain why I don't believe that they came out of Ham. I think that was the add-in, and people do and have tampered with the scriptures. We've already seen that when we were discussing, how in one version it says one thing and then it says something totally different. There have been add-ins and there have been tampering. Okay, and we're going to keep reading. All right, Joshua chapter 10, verses 30 through 33. And some of the children of Shem, son of Noah, the father of all the children of Eber, also went and built themselves cities in the places wherein they were scattered, and they called their cities after their names. And the sons of Shem were Elam, Ashur, Arphaxad, Lud, and Aram. And they built themselves cities and called the names of their cities after their names. And Ashur, son of Shem, and his children and household went forth from that time, a very large body of them. And they went to a distant land that they found, and they met with a very extensive valley in the land that they went to, and they built themselves 4 cities, and they called them after their own names and occurrences. And these are the names of the cities that the children of Ashur built: Nineveh, Rezin, Calach, and Rehoboth. And the children of Ashur dwelt there until this day. Okay, so the children of Ashur we know become the Assyrians, right? And then they end up leaving, like a whole mass of them leave, and they build Nineveh, Rezin or Resin, Calach, and Rehoboth. Okay, it says Rehoboth, but it's Rehoboth. Okay, so they leave and they build these massive cities. Now remember, they don't live far from where the tower was, because the tower sat between Babylon and Assyria. Shinar was in between the two. Okay, we're gonna keep reading. Joshua chapter 10, verses 34 through 36. And the children of Aram also went and built themselves a city, and they called the name of the city Uz, after their eldest brother, and they dwelt therein. That is the land of Uz to this day. In the 2nd year after the tower, a man from the house of Ashur, whose name was Bela, went from the land of Nineveh to sojourn with his household wherever he could find a place. And they came until the opposite of the plain against Sodom, and they dwelt there. And the man rose up and built there a small city, and called its name Bela after his name. That is the land of Zoar, unto this day. Okay, so Aram, which we know are the Syrians, they go and they build Uz, which we've already had that conversation. Uz, and then after that, one of the Assyrians leaves, and then he builds out Zoar. Joshua chapter 10, verses 37 through 39. And these are the families of the children of Shem according to their language and cities, after they were scattered upon the earth after the tower. And every kingdom, city, and family of the families of the children of Noah built themselves many cities after this, and they established governments in all their cities in order to be regulated by their orders. So did all the families of the children of Noah forever. All right, we're going to read this again. We're going to read this many times. We're going to read this again. Cabernet 9 concerning the covenant of Noah. And Noah, the righteous man, died. So Noah's not dead yet, but we're just talking about it. And Shem reigned in wisdom and righteousness, for he was blessed by Noah, saying, Be LOI to thy brother. And to Ham he said, Be servant to thy brother. And he said unto Japheth, Be thou servant to Shem my heir, and be thou subject unto him. And again, after the flood, the devil, our enemy, did not cease from his hostility against the children of Noah, but stirred up Canaan the son of Ham, and he became a violent tyrant, or a usurper, who rent the kingdom from the children of Shem. Now they had divided the earth among them, and Noah had made them swear by the name of his LOI that they would not encroach on each other's boundaries, and would not eat the beast that had died of itself, or had been rent by wild animals, and that they would not cultivate harlotry against the law, lest the Most High should again become angry with them and punish them with a flood. So remember, we're talking about there was the Great Flood, but then we said that there was another flood after that. This is probably talking about the Great Flood, but we can just also say it may be mentioned that the post flood, the major flood after the Great Flood, it may be referring to that here, where it's saying after that flood, that's when Canaan decided that he's going to take Shem's land. Remember, they're warring with each other constantly. All right, because judgment by sword has already commenced. So everybody's taking things from people, they're stealing, they're not abiding by any of the covenant, nor are they honoring the fact that they promised their father that they wouldn't encroach on each other's lands. Okay, so everybody's kind of doing what they want to do. Shem and his righteous children have already like just gone away from all this. They're like, no, we're good, and they kind of just move on. But it said that that land was taken from the children of Shem, and then they kind of go from there. Jubilees 10:28 through 31, and Ham and his sons went into the land which he was to occupy which he acquired as his portion in the land of the south. And Canaan saw the land of Lebanon to the river Egypt, that is, that it was very good. And he went not into the land of his inheritance to the west, that is, to the sea. He dwelt in the land of Lebanon eastward and westward from the border of Jordan, from the border of the sea. And Ham his father, and Cush, Mitzrayim his brother, said unto him, Thou hast settled in the land which is not thine, which did not fall to us by lot. Do not do so, for if thou dost do so, thou and thy sons will fall in the land and be accursed through sedition. For by sedition ye have settled, and by sedition will thy children fall, and thou shalt be rooted out forever. Dwell not in the dwelling of Shem, for Shem and his sons did it come by their lot. So Canaan settles in the land. He was like, I like it here. We're going to stay right here. And his father and his brothers are like, yeah, don't do that. That's not your land, because you're putting your children in danger if you decide that you're going to settle in Shem's land. That's their inheritance. Just like no one could come and take our inheritance, you can't come and take his inheritance. And Canaan's like, yeah, I don't care. I'm going to do what I want to do anyway. And they said, okay, understand, because remember, everyone's under an oath that no one's going to encroach on anybody's land allotments, and that there will be a judgment if you should do so. Okay? All right, let me keep going. Jubilees 10:32 through 36. Cursed art thou, and cursed shalt thou be beyond all the sons of Noah by the curse by which we bound ourselves by an oath in the presence of the holy judge and in the presence of Noah our father. But he did not hearken unto them, and dwelt in the land of Lebanon from Hamath to the entering of Egypt, he and his sons until this day. For this reason that land is named Canaan. And Japheth and his sons went towards the sea and dwelt in the land of their portion. And Madai saw the land of the sea, and that it did not please, and it did not please him. And he begged for a portion from Ham and Ashur. And Arphaxad, his wife's brother, he dwelt in the land of Media, near to his wife's brother until this day. And he called his dwelling place the dwelling place of the sons of Media after his name of their father Madai. Okay, really quickly. So remember how I said previously, Ham, Shem, and Japheth kind of stay in that area. They built those cities on the mountains and they stay like where their father was. But post Tower, everybody goes to their land allotments. They start to spread out over time. Some people go straight there, and then some people it's kind of a forced spreading and they spread out over time. Okay, so we're gonna look right here back at the blessing of Noah, or what we'll say the prophecy of Noah. We'll say that it says Genesis 9:27, and the Most High shall enlarge Japheth, and he shall dwell in the tents of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. So Japheth, Madai of Japheth, is dwelling in the land of Persia. He's Media, but he's dwelling in the land of Persia, which is in the territory of Shem. And he also dwells in other areas of Shem as well, which we'll discuss when we get to those things as well. So that is a cyclical. It's a cyclical prophecy. This isn't the only time that Japheth will be dwelling in the tents of Shem. And we'll keep going from here. All right, Joshua 10, 1 through 5. We're going to jump back here. And Peleg, the son of Eber, died in those days in the 48th year of the life of Abram, the son of Terah. And all the days of Peleg were 239 years. And when the Most High had scattered the sons of men on account of their sin at the tower, behold, they spread forth into many divisions. And all the sons of men were dispersed into the four corners of the earth. And all the families became each according to its language, land, or its city. And the sons of men built many cities according to their families in all the places where they went, and throughout the earth where the Most High had scattered them. And some of them built cities in places from whence they were afterwards extirpated, and they called these cities after their own names, or the names of their children, or after their particular occurrences. Okay, so this is pretty much what we saw happen. But it says some of them built cities in places from which they were afterwards extirpated. So some of the places that they built cities, they end up being removed even from those places. So the scattering is a progression of moving further and further and further and further out from where they were. It's like a migration, like an overtime migration. All right, we're going to read this again and we're going to wrap it up. Antiquities of the Jews, Book 1, Chapter 6, Paragraph 4 continued. Shem, the third son of Noah, had 5 sons who inhabited the land that began at the Euphrates and reached to the Indian Ocean. For Elam left behind him the Elamites, the ancestors of the Persians. Ashur left the city Nineveh, named his subjects Assyrians, who became the most fortunate nation beyond others. Arphaxad named the Arphaxidites, who are now called the Chaldeans. Aram, the Aramites, which the Greeks call Syrians. Lod founded the Lodites, which are now called Lydians. Of the 4 sons of Aram, Uz founded Trachonitis and Damascus. This country lies between Palestine and Cilicia. Founded Armenia, and Gaither, the Bactrians, and Mesa, the Messenians. It is now called Specini. Salah was the son of Arphaxad, and his son was Eber, from whom they originally called the Jews Hebrews. Heber begat Joktan and Phaleg. he was called Peleg because he was born at the dispersion of nations to several countries, and Peleg among the Hebrews signifies division. And Yoktan, one of the sons of Eber, had these sons: Almodad, Selah, Ashermoth, Jerah, Adoram, Izel, Thekla, Ebal, Ebamiel, Sabaeus, Aphor, Elat, and Jobab. These inhabited Copan, an Indian river, and in part of Asia adjoining to it. And this shall suffice concerning the sons of Shem. So, out of all of Shem's sons, Ashur had the most pronounced kingdom as far as like the super massive kingdoms and everything amongst the house of Shem. At least this specific to this these sons. And then another thing I wanted to mention about the migration is because it does happen over time. That's even the same thing when we get to the children of the covenant and they come and they take over the promised land. They don't all just take over the entire land at one time. It was a progression over time to take over the land.